Death Valley, one of the most extreme places on Earth. We made our way there straight from the Grand Canyon to continue our trek. As a martial artist and filmmaker, little did I know how the scorching sun and freezing nights would inspire and change me. Please enjoy our journey in martial arts and subscribe for more martial arts and fight scenes. Cowards die first, baby! The Bad Water Basin is a salt flat adjacent to the Black Mountains that descends to the lowest elevation in North America, 279 feet below sea level. A massive expanse of white. Significant rainstorms flood Bad Water, covering the salt pan with a thin sheet of standing water. It is one of the hottest and most unforgiving places in the world. The highest recorded temperature in history. The site itself consists of a small spring-fed pool of bad water. The accumulated salts of the surrounding basin make it undrinkable, thus giving it the name. The pool does have animal and plant life, including pickleweed, aquatic insects, and the bad water snail. Adjacent to the pool, where water is not always present at the surface, repeated freeze, thaw, and evaporation cycles gradually push the thin salt crust into hexagonal honeycomb shapes. Hence this otherworldly alien imagery. I felt like I was stepping onto an ethereal plane. The all-too-perfect geometry stretching on for miles, laid against the imposing mountains. They watched over us as we trained under the burning sun, its refreshing warmth washing over us, a rejuvenating gift after the Grand Canyon and our snow-covered, freezing escape. We couldn't help but be pushed to action, standing in such an archaic, time-worn, remote place, a relic of a bygone world. You could almost feel time passing back to millions of years before. And that same feeling from our Mount Everest journey activated within me, that sudden realization and awareness of time. This salt has lain here for millions of years before my time, and it will be here millions of years after. If anything, this feeling is all the more relevant considering our current global situation, and that reminder of our mortality. Something so small could destroy us. This place, completely immune to any such attacks. But us, with our weak, fragile bodies, are so susceptible. We're out here in Salt Flats. It's glorious out here. Never really seen anything quite like this. What about you philosophers? Have you seen anything of the like? Yeah, I actually prefer this. The Grand Canyon was amazing, but I really like the openness, the nothingness. It just brings a different feeling to mind, you know? We painted the blank canvas with the color of our movement, our limbs a flowing paintbrush. Carving into that rock the inertia of our emotions in that moment. If anything, it makes the practice of martial arts even more meaningful. Another idea, another pattern that during our short time here passes through us and can live within us. But as a transcendental piece of evidence of human existence, it will continue to grow far beyond our lifespans. That's it?
That's right.
One of the most refreshing days was our trek through Golden Canyon, which I couldn't help but be reminded of Tatooine from Star Wars. Featuring hefty climbs and difficult terrain.
Yes, man.
We were blessed with warm weather and a day full of energy
For the kids.
and refreshing momentum. You can't help but get lost in the various rock formations, like the Red Cathedral. There's a striking simplicity to the rock. So similar in color, in design, it almost looks like an impressionist painting, an old video game from the N64 era. Too simple, too perfect to be real. Such an abstract image. It's difficult to make out distance of how far you're actually looking, but to this day stands as one of the most inspirational views that I've seen. It's certainly unlike any other terrain I've ever witnessed. If you could visit one place on Earth, what would it be? We leapt across crevices, climbed walls. Maybe it was the simplistic background and colorful backdrop, but it made me feel like a kid again. With the wind washing the salt over our skin and clothes, painting us white, was a reminder of how dangerous and extreme this place is. It made us all that much more grateful for our safe passage. At one point, we overlooked this wall. It was almost an optical illusion. If you told me it was 300 feet high, I would have believed you. But in fact, it was only a few feet. The feeling of looking so far over the earth, farther than you can usually ever see, being greeted with silence and unmoving rock, made me equally silent. Sometimes, all you can do is take it in. Zabriskie Point is a part of the Amargosa Range located east of Death Valley, noted for its erosional landscape It is composed of sediments from Furnace Creek Lake, which dried up 5 million years ago, long before Death Valley came into existence. It was also featured in The Mandalorian. The nights were freezing. After the Grand Canyon, I had no more taste for tents, so I decided to cowboy camp. Laying out, open to the elements and wild beasts, including tarantulas, was a risk I was willing to take. I even slept in my glasses, so I could peer out at the night sky for hours. But there's a price for cowboy camping, and I awoke frozen, my sleeping bag encased in ice.
Morning, we're in Death Valley, hottest place in the world. There is ice.
It's totally normal. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see.
Ice. Phil.
With me, yeah. Very nice.
He's so cold, he doesn't know what time of day it is.
Yeah, this was pleasant. But I'd pay that price again. What I saw in those stars. Well, some things can't be voiced with words. What is this?
There you go.
I have a question. Are you getting smaller? Are you getting smaller?
Smaller, man.
This trip was a heavy one, and not just the weight of our bags. Incidentally, almost all of us were going through very difficult times in our personal lives. It made for a somber mood. You have to ask yourself when you go on trips like this, is it merely a distraction? Am I simply running away from those thoughts, from those feelings, or trying to forget about them? Sometimes the best thing you can do when weighed down by darkness, the past, or the future is move. Flow forward. And to quote my favorite story, the Stormlight Archive, the most important step a man can take. It's not the first one, is it? But if we stop, we accept the person we are when we fall. The journey ends. The failure becomes our destination. To love the journey is to accept no such end. I have found through painful experience that the most important step a person can take is always the next one. Always the next step. And as Barrett tells us from FF7, there ain't no getting off this train we're on. Not until it gets to the end of the line. The final leg of our journey will take us through Cottonwood. After more traversal over wasteland, we were greeted to these beautiful trees. Their vines and branches making for a veritable playground to journey through. And as with Mount Everest, there's something about that void openness that always draws me in. And I do find that I love it, that alien open landscape.
What's up, philosophers? We made it. Pass. It was a hard push, but the hardest part is over. Now we're gonna be going downhill for the rest of this journey. And it's a really important lesson, you know, when it's the hardest, usually means you gotta keep pushing, and eventually the good times are gonna come, you know? It's gonna hurt, but just keep pushing on. It'll happen for you, you know? We're all definitely tired and hungry, but now the worst is over. It's really gorgeous out here. I really like the desolate stuff we were just talking about, me and the boys. It's I think we're so used to just seeing stuff everywhere. Cities, towns, you know, what have you, rooms full of furniture. I think it's materialism really. We're used to just, you have to fill everything, buy stuff. And something about this is so alien. It's so unique. It's so refreshing to see. Just an open void. Just devoid of any structures. There's some rocks, there's some shrubs, but it's almost surrealist. It looks like an impressionist painting. It's so open, it's so beautiful. And it's really blowing my mind. It's really intriguing to me. So as I said in the Everest trip, always getting out and seeing stuff like this changes your perspective for the better. So keep at it, guys. Keep fighting. It's a marble canyon. That's it. I've come up with a new recipe.
Rejuvenated with fresh energy, and the final leg of our trip being downhill, and also blessed with good weather, we made our way through Mosaic Canyon. The entrance appears deceptively ordinary, but the canyon narrows dramatically to a deep slot cut into the face of Tucky Mountain. Smooth, polished marble walls enclose the trail as it follows the canyon's sinuous curves. The canyon follows faults that formed when the rocky crust of the Death Valley region began stretching just a few million years ago. Running water scoured away at the fault-weakened rock, gradually carving Mosaic Canyon. Periodic flash floods carry rocky debris sediment eroded from Mosaic Canyon and the surrounding hillsides towards the valley below.
What a beautiful place.
At the canyon mouth, water spreads out and deposits its sediment load, gradually building up large wedge-shaped alluvial fan that extends down towards stovepipe wells.
Left up.
It was the first time we could play. We climbed, jumped, and smiled our way down through the canyon. Met some new friends.
Crispy. Nice crispy bacon.
Yeah. For the day, now we're just going up for the day. Backpacking and we have to decide whether
This journey was an arduous one. Of course, thoughts were the true master of our bodies, but I felt drained and weakened. And I was battling with a seething anger and hatred. On that final push for several miles, I finally found myself alone. And as I crossed those desolate, swirling sands, completely isolated, I had many realizations. Even in the absence of pleasures, comforts, laughter, smiles, a self-respect exists for completing such an arduous journey. And though that battle with hatred is always there, and we'll all continue to face it, there's something divine about that eternal war. We do always have to fight the darkness and sift through the pieces of ourselves to find that light. But there is a beauty in that. And so, the battle continues, unending. Walking alone, a deep and transformative clarity came over me as I struggled with the very idea how such deep, engineered hatred can even exist. I realized without it, of course, the opposite, that love, that light, has no radiance. The etymology of my name means to love. Phil, philosophy, love of knowledge. Philanthropy, love of people. So with this clarity, I will take that next step as myself. So if you're ever feeling the weight of that battle, ask yourself, what's the most important step a man can take?
Guys, we did it. It's all over. Congrats to everybody who was involved. And that's it.
Very happy, very happy.
Grand Canyon, Death Valley, down. In a word, you say, Chris?
Very happy, very happy.
Great word, great word. And yeah, thanks everybody for joining us. We'll see you around next time we survive Death Valley, all right? Thanks to Mike, as always. They're keeping us alive, man. He's our Gandalf.
Make sure to subscribe for more martial arts and fight scenes on this channel, and check out my gaming channel, which I've recently started. Which place on earth has inspired you the most?